Ibland är det faktiskt så att man minns omständigheterna kring en intervju mer än vad man minns själva intervjun. Och så är det i fallet Arnold Schwarzenegger. Honom hade jag försökt att få en intervju med i flera år. Så kom det ett mejl där det stod att jag kanske skulle få en intervju med honom. Och de ville ha de frågor som jag skulle ställa. Så jag skickade dem och sen så gick jag och väntade. Inget besked kom. Till slut kom det ett mejl där det stod att allt var uppskjutet. Det betyder inte att jag hade fått någon intervju, men att jag kanske skulle få den ytterligare ett par veckor längre fram. Så att jag gick där och våndades och förberedde mig och visste inte om det skulle bli av eller ej. Men bara ungefär 2 dagar innan intervjun skulle bli av så kom det ett mejl där det stod att jag var välkommen. Så jag åkte till Sacramento där Arnold Schwarzenegger har sitt kontor i Kalifornien. Jag kommer dit. Och intervjun ska börja. Arnold Schwarzenegger kommer inklivande, inte fullt så stor och imponerande som jag hade förväntat mig. Men väldigt sådär solariebrun och inga rynkor och så förstås. Så tar vi hand och sätter oss ner och intervjun ska börja. Och det gör den också. Men det är bara det att det är ett problem, och det är att när jag skickade frågor till dem så visste jag att de ville bara att intervjun skulle handla om kalifornisk politik. Medan jag helst ville ha en personlig intervju där man fick reda på så mycket om Arnold Schwarzenegger som möjligt. Plus att jag ville ta upp det här om Annika Östberg, svenskan som har suttit fängslad i Kalifornien i många, många år. Och det visste jag att de inte ville att jag skulle fråga om. Så att intervjun börjar, Arnold Schwarzenegger är mycket mer personlig och på gott humör och svarar på alla mina frågor utan problem. Men när ungefär halva intervjun har gått så ser jag i bakgrunden hur den här presskvinnan sätter igång ilsket och river upp papper och diskuterar med någon. Och sen så börjar hon försöka avsluta intervjun, alltså hon ger mig såna här tecken och till slut såna här halshuggningstecken. Men jag har under åren utvecklat en slags tunnelseende så att jag ser verkligen bara ögonen på den jag intervjuar. Så jag låtsades inte se henne förrän jag såg att hon liksom höll på att explodera av ilska och var på väg att kliva in i bild. Då slutade jag intervjun. Och så fick jag mig en rejäl utskällning för att jag inte hade följt det här frågeformuläret. Och när jag kom hem till Sverige så blev jag bombarderad med ilskna mejl. Men när jag ser intervjun nu så måste jag säga att jag begriper inte varför de blev så arga.
I love living in America. I love American mentality. I love the positive thinking that here you can drive up with a Bentley and people say, when did you get that Bentley? Congratulations. In Europe, they take a key and they scratch your whole side of the car because someone says, well, the reason why he has it is because he doesn't share the money with me. I will not disappoint you and I will not let you down.
Arnold Schwarzenegger har alltid varit störst. Först var han världens främste kroppsbyggare och sen blev han världens största actionstjärna.
I'm going to run for governor of the state of
2003 valdes Schwarzenegger till republikansk guvernör i Kalifornien, som faktiskt är världens 6:e största ekonomi. När jag kommer till hans kontor i huvudstaden Sacramento så får jag trängas med turister. Och det märks på flera sätt att det är en Hollywoodstjärna som är guvernör. Hans svärd från Conan-filmerna ligger framme på kontoret. Han har smält upp ett stort tält där han kan röka feta kubanska cigarrer på sina businessmöten. Och han pepprar sina politiska tal med filmrepliker. Det är också Hollywood-stil på hur han sköter sin kontakt med media. Det är stenhårt styrt och de har till och med sina egna kameramän.
Makeup.
It's almost run like a president, where you have roped off areas, you have pool coverage, a pool photographer, for example, or a pool reporter. We never had this, even going back to Ronald Reagan or Jerry Brown or any of the other governors. But you do have that with Governor Schwarzenegger, and I think a lot of reporters are getting a little frustrated over that because they can't ask him directly questions that they have.
Sometimes he'll hold photo opportunities and allow a camera in there and a newspaper reporter, but that's it. No other reporters who might shout questions at him.
Men som politiker har Arnold förvånat många skeptiker. Han har både varit en tuff republikan när det gäller ekonomin, medan han har haft en mjukare, mer demokratisk inställning när det gäller miljö, abort och homosexfrågor. Och den här stilen, den har gått hem både hos folket och hos det politiska etablissemanget. Most people who go into politics do it because they love politics, and you do it because you hate it. Why?
Well, I was never a big fan of politics, but I always thought that I could do a great job in helping California, coming back to where it used to be. And everything that I have is because of California. I came over with absolutely nothing, except with a lot of drive, a lot of will, and determination, and a great vision. But that's it.
So what's the biggest difference between you and the regular political governor?
Well, I think about how can I have an effect and an impact on the people, and I don't think of politics at all. I many times have been told, you know, Governor, this is not a wise decision because politically this is going to backfire on you later on. Those are the kind of things that you hear here more often than anything. And I always say, hey, political courage doesn't have to be political suicide. You know, you got to be courageous here. You got to take risks. If you're not taking risks and if you just play it safe, which is a typical behavior of politicians, to play it safe, and what is the right move to make so they get reelected. I can care less about getting reelected. I mean, that's up to the people if I ever decide that I want to get reelected. But I mean, you know, it's not what drives me. What drives me is fixing California and fixing a broken system.
And you're not going to give up until you made it?
That's right. It's just like, you know, I've said many times, I did not come to Sacramento, and I was not sent by the people to Sacramento to be a typical politician. That's what they voted out of office.
A lot of people think that it's something new for you going into this world of politics. But you've been dedicating yourself to social work for a long, long time. I mean, with the Special Olympics, with after-school activities. What has this background meant for you as a governor?
First of all, I have to say that everything that I've done in my life has helped me with this job here. If it is my bodybuilding background and coming from sports, you know, you have to hear you need a great discipline as you learn in sports. You need to visualize your goals. You got to be able to go beyond and go through all the obstacles.
Arnold Schwarzenegger växte upp strax efter andra världskriget i den lilla bondbyn Tall i Österrike. Det var svåra tider och hans pappa som var polis var väldigt strikt och hård mot Arnold och hans bror. Arnold var bara 13 år när han upptäckte bodybuilding och han blev helt besatt av tanken på att bli störst i världen och framför allt han ville komma till USA. Where did this very, very strong drive to get away, where did it come from?
It could be that I grew up in such poverty that I had this need of getting out of there because I grew up right after the Second World War where there was no food, where my mother had to go from farm to beg for food, and my father had to sell off everything he had. And it was like miserable conditions. So it maybe is that. It maybe is that I just saw some enough information about America that I got such drive that I want to get there, that created the will to train for me, because I had to figure out how can I get there. No one in Austria in those days were traveling to America. Yeah. There was no money. I mean, it would have cost a fortune. So it is not like the day. So I tried to figure out how can I get to America. I was obsessed about being part of America and being an American, not to just come here and visit. That was never good enough. It was always to become part of America. And so I think when I then tapped into this bodybuilding, by total coincidence, I thought that that was the ticket to America. And so that's when I then put all my energy into that.
So it
And
was more America than the bodybuilding in itself that made
bodybuilding was a means to an end. If I would have seen that I would have had some potential in something else, I would have then stayed with that. If I would have seen that I had as much potential in soccer playing, which was the sport that I did, as I did in weight training, I would have maybe stayed with that. But I had a tremendous amount of potential in weight training. I went to the gym a few times, and my strength improved by 100% within a month. So everyone said, oh my God, this guy's a natural talent. So that's what got me going, and this is why I then made that become my goal.
But you had a tough upbringing, and you were punished in a very hard way. How?
I wouldn't say in a hard way. I would say that the culture in Austria was at that time much more physical. So if you did something wrong and your parents didn't like it, you got smacked. They were physical. Or if you brought home bad grades, you know, they would take a little branch and they hit you over your behind. Or if I would do homework and I would get up after an hour of reading and writing, you know, my mother would take the yardstick and hit me over the hands, and she says, you haven't finished your homework, how dare you get up. So it was a much more, I remember there was one time in a school, we had a parent-teacher day. Every parent came in, and as soon as they were through talking with the teacher at the desk, they would come to the classroom, they smack the kid, and then they walk out. Everyone was laughing about it. So it was not something personal. It was like everyone got smacked, the whole class got smacked eventually, especially when those farm women came in, those farmer women. I mean, they smacked the kids. So that was just the way it was. Now it's different.
But you must have suffered. I mean, now we laugh about it, but it...
No.
No?
That what does not kill you will make you stronger. Remember that.
På det här hotellet bor Arnold 4-5 dagar i veckan när han jobbar i Sacramento. Familjen, fru Maria och 4 barn, de bor i Los Angeles. Maria Shriver är John F. Kennedys systerdotter, och man kan nästan säga att hon är som en amerikansk kunglighet. Jag kan föreställa mig att hennes ambassadörsföräldrar inte blev så där väldigt glada när hon kom släpande på den österrikiske bodybuildern, som dessutom var inbiten republikan för 28 år sedan. Men äktenskapet har hållit, och Maria Shriver, som är en erkänd tv-journalist, spelar stor roll för Arnolds politik.
I've worked union banks, I've shaken hands, I've been at factories, I've traveled this country on behalf of candidates that I believe could have made a difference in this country. And I'm so proud to be here today on behalf of another candidate that I know will make a difference in this state and in this country.
When you were running for governor, I saw when your wife, I think it was the first time, she held a speech supporting you, and you were standing at her side. Do you remember how that felt?
My wife is always very complimentary in public.
And in private?
And in private, sometimes the vicious attacks at home. No, she's my wife. What I love about her, and why I think that I felt that I have met the greatest woman in the world, is because she is very strong. She has a strong personality. She has her own opinion. She has a great sense of humor, and she's very smart. And so you can have with her lively discussions that are very fun. They're a lot of fun, and she has always been a great partner. Even in the bodybuilding days, if you think about it, she would go and she would pull away the cheesecake from me. And she would say, remember in 1 month there's the competition? Isn't your competition all about who has the most definition and muscle separation and the proportions? Well, if you eat that cheesecake, that will be gone and you'll lose, so don't eat any more cheesecake. So she would be on top of it, even if she didn't understand much about bodybuilding. But that's the kind of a partner she always was.
But when you met her many years ago, I think 28 years ago, I mean, a strong woman who came from the Kennedy clan, what effect has this had on your political thinking?
I think that I would say it didn't have much effect on my political thinking.
No?
I think it had more effect on my interest in public service. When Sergeant Shriver, 25 years or so ago to me, said
her
the
father,
first time, my father-in-law, her father, when he said to me for the first time that the most honorable profession you can have is be a public servant, I thought this man is out of his mind. What is he talking about? I mean, I understood he meant public service, being a politician or running for office or running some charity or doing something for the public. But I was so much into becoming a movie star, being a bodybuilding champion, making millions of dollars. So I was on that climb. This was like when I was 30 years old, 32 years old. And so I could not relate at all to that. Then I started thinking more and more about it. And I remember I started then working with Special Olympics, and I started to understand his joy of giving something back, his joy in reaching out and helping people that need help.
But you say that your wife is very strong and very intelligent, and she's obviously a Democrat. What did she do wrong if after 28 years you're still a Republican?
No, the question is, what did I do wrong that she, after 28 years, is still a Democrat? That's really the question.
Okay, you answer it then.
I think it is great that when you meet somebody and you fall in love, and then you decide to get married, not to change that person. Because why did you fall in love in the first place? It was because she was different. It's because there was a different kind of opinion, philosophy, different upbringing, different backgrounds, different kind of a family versus where I grew up in a rural area and on farms and stuff like that. So all of that opposite, it truly was opposite attracts. And that saying became a reality because to me, I wouldn't have wanted her to think like me. I didn't want her to say to everything I say, yes, Arnold, this is perfect. No, I want someone to say, great, but here's a better way of thinking. Or here's an additional way to think. Or here's someone else you ought to include. Or here's another book you should read. Or here's another article that you should think about. That is what I love.
You mentioned the little Arnold who grew up in a rural area. So how are you to your children?
I think that I'm trying to be as strict as possible, and so is my wife. I try to bring some of the European methods into it.
Physical?
Not the physical, but just, you know, that you have to make your own bed. No one is allowed in a room other than you, that you have to clean your own room, you have to clean up the mess, you have to wash the clothes, you have to, you know, do the laundry. You have to clean up the plates after you eat. Don't wait for someone else or ask someone else to do it for you.
That's very European. That's what it's like in my house too.
And then the other thing I'm really very disciplined about is turning off the lights and the power. Because I grew up, my mother, when I walked out of the room and I didn't turn off the lights, she was, you know, she would literally, it was like the end of the world.
And no TV in weekdays?
We don't have TV on the weekdays now. And but the turning off the lights. So I have this.
That's very hard to teach your children, though.
Well, no, it's very easy. Here's the trick: that if they turn off the light, if they don't turn off the lights and they walk out and they go to school, then I unscrew a light bulb, and I show him in the afternoon. I say, see, there's one light bulb missing up there. You have 6 more to go in this room. So this is, I don't care about this one light bulb. Then the second time he does it, I unscrew the second one. Eventually, he was in the dark. In a room, and it was scary. He had to get all his stuff. He was like 4 years old, and he was freaking out. And so I said, I'm not going to put it on until you really understand that you got to turn out the light.
But you work a lot, you're away a lot. Do you really have time to teach them these things?
I have plenty of time. As a matter of fact, my wife and I, we figured it out that when I used to do movies, I actually spent less time because I was on location. And so now I'm pretty much home, you know, every week for 3 or 4 days.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. A lot of those what you see in the stories is not true. But at the same time, I have to tell you that I always say that wherever there's smoke, there's fire. That is true. And so what I want to say to you is that yes, that I have behaved badly sometimes. Yes, it is true that I was on rowdy movie sets and I have done things that were not right, which I thought then was playful, but now I recognize that I have offended people. And to those people that I have offended, I want to say to them, I'm deeply sorry about that and I apologize because this is not what I tried to do.
When you were running for governor, they started digging in your past, finding things you said about women, what you did with women, and trying to push this on you to
Right.
scare away the people. How did you handle it?
Well, first of all, you have to understand that in America, all of those kind of issues are much more important.
Why?
Than in Europe. I think that it has to do with, religion over here. That's where the Pilgrims came to America, and it made it very purist. And that if you show sex on television, it's much worse than if you show violence on television. Violence is okay, but sex is not, that kind of a thing. So it's just a little different, and just have to take all that stuff with a sense of humor. And I think in the end, the people looked through all that nonsense and dealt with it in the right way.
But the voters didn't care. It had no effect at all. As a matter of fact, one poll that came out right after these allegations surfaced showed him going up in support. And people expect behavior to be a little different in the Hollywood community than it is in Sacramento or elsewhere in California. And so when these allegations first surfaced, a lot of people were thinking, oh, that always goes on, and that's not a big deal. And so not only that, he did apologize.
Mostly it creates a big row, and people have to leave their offices. But you just said, I'm sorry,
People always complain and they say, the media, the way they handle politics and all this stuff, it keeps the good people away from politics. I think it's a bunch of nonsense in a way. Because I think the reality of it is if that's what keeps you away, then you don't have the strength, the inner strength to fight those things. Because if you really have a conviction and say, I'm going to help straighten out this mess, I'm going to go to Sacramento or to Washington, wherever it may be, then no matter what anyone attacks and no matter what anyone says, you try, you give it your best.
Okay.
Maybe it doesn't work, but then maybe you have to eventually get out of the race or you're not going to win. But I think the bottom line is, in the end, it's always about the will, and it's about courage, the drive, to see a vision in front of you and to go after that and turn it into reality.
But
so that's what it's all about.
Did you ever have a role model in this world? I mean, in this world of politics?
Oh, there's many role models. I mean, from...
but I mean, a big, like a real...
Yes, there's many. I mean, there's Ronald Reagan, John F. Kennedy, Mikhail Gorbachev.
What did you learn from Mikhail Gorbachev?
I think that the courage. I mean, that in the end, I mean, here's a man that has grown up in the communist system and has, become mayor of Moscow, then became the leader of the Soviet Union, and was able to see that it is the wrong system. And he saw the obstacles of communism, and he saw the downfalls of a dictatorship. And he looked at the rest of the world and said, we ought to change. We ought to let those individual satellite states, those countries all around Russia, we ought to let them go and be independent. And we ought to create a democracy in Russia. And I think that was a very, very courageous move to make, to undo something when you have been groomed and brought up and brainwashed for so many years. So to me, he's one of the great, great leaders that has done that.
I want to be the people's governor. I will work honestly, without fear or favor, to do what is right for all Californians.
Join Arnold and let's bring California back.
Maybe we need someone with more political background running California. But I will admit, he has been a quick study. He's learned very quickly. He is smart. He has surrounded himself with a lot of individuals who have experience in the political arena in California. And so I guess it does prove to many, to many folks that you don't have to be a 20-year veteran of politics in California to run the state.
Ideologically speaking, he's perfectly positioned in California. He's tough, as it were, on taxes and crime, and he's more liberal on social matters, as you say, abortion, environment, that sort of thing. That makes him dangerous to Democrats, because that's what they fear most, is having a kind of a centrist, moderate Republican, and not a right-wing Republican. A right-wing Republican loses.
Det är i Kalifornien som Annika Östberg sitter fånge sedan 24 år tillbaka. Både den svenska regeringen och Annikas familj har försökt att få henne överförd till svenskt fängelse i många år. Men det har blivit nej och hittills så har Arnold Schwarzenegger vägrat uttala sig om Annika Östberg, vars öde faktiskt vilar i hans händer. You have a lot of foreign prisoners in Californian prisons. Among them a Swedish woman called Annika Östberg DC. Do you know of her at all?
Yes.
You know the case. According to a convention that US has signed, foreign prisoners should be able to go to their home countries to serve their sentence. Why is this not possible for Annika Östberg?
Well, we just felt, and various different experts felt, that she's not yet ready to go.
After 24 years?
That's right. She was a vicious killer.
No, she didn't kill anyone.
She was part of a major killing.
Her boyfriend killed somebody.
Well, that's the way it always goes. But I mean, she was part of it, and therefore she has to serve her sentence. And when everyone feels here that she's ready, then she can go.
I mean, she was sentenced to between 25 and life imprisonment. How many years would you say is enough? When have you served?
I would say the parole hearings come up every year, and then those who are in charge of that will make that decision.
But are you opposed to this convention that says that prisoners should be able to go to their home countries to serve?
No, it's just it really depends on what the case is.
So you think this case was too...
Yeah, we looked at it very thoroughly, and we studied it and looked at the background and all this stuff, and it was just everyone's feeling that no, she's not ready yet to leave.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you should send back not only Annika Östberg, but all the other prisoners from other countries who want to be sent home to serve their sentences in their home countries, you would save hundreds of millions of dollars. So why don't you do that?
Well, because justice is not just about money. Justice is justice and money is money. So we have to find ways of live within our means the right way, rather than just letting everyone out of prison. I mean, of course, if you
not letting them out,
no, but I mean,
letting them serve in their own countries.
Yeah, but I mean, it really depends. There's some people who say, hey, let people go home earlier. Why leave them in there 20 years? Let the drug addicts out and let them just go through rehabilitation. Everyone has their own answer on how to save money. It's not about money. It is, we wish that it doesn't cost any money, yes. But the reality of it is that we have to make decisions of what's best for society. And we have to be very tough on criminals. And we have to keep them locked up as long as possible, especially sex offenders, and especially violent sex offenders. I have no tolerance for any of this. What is important, though, is, and where you save a lot of money, is by rehabilitating prisoners when they go into prison. We have had for years a philosophy of just locking people up and throwing the key away. That is wrong.
You know, he's been phenomenally successful in the bodybuilding. He was dominant. Phenomenally successful in movie pictures, dominant. And he's very proud of being dominant, not just succeeding, but being dominant. And this is his third venue. And now, so far, he has not succeeded here, and much less become dominant. And so, I don't know, is Schwarzenegger willing to lose? You know, he does not entertain the idea of losing. He thinks that he can move mountains by sheer force of will.
Att Arnold Schwarzenegger skulle bli en slipad politiker var det nog ingen som trodde, men han har onekligen förverkligat den amerikanska drömmen till fulländning. Och om inte lagen satte hinder så är det många som skulle vilja se att han blev landets nästa president. You always had an enormous talent for knowing what was your talent. Even though other people said, you know, you're crazy, bodybuilding, that's nothing, you can never be a movie star. How come? How could you fight all that mistrust?
Well, I mean, first of all, I have no complaints about it, may I remind you. I love it because I've always benefited from it. You see, whatever is a negative, you have to figure out how do you make this turn into a positive.
Okay, you love resistance.
Yes, I mean, you have to turn it into positive because the advantage is when people have no expectations, then you can only surprise them in a positive way. So this is the terrific thing. The worst is if people have a lot of expectations And then it's tough to measure up to that kind of expectation.
Okay.
So I've always benefited when people say, well, he's come from bodybuilding. Bodybuilders are not that bright. I mean, what can we expect from him? And then you surprise them. I remember when I was on a talk show in America, he asked me a question and I answered him. Just a normal thing. He said, how long have you been working out? And I said, well, I've started at 15 and I've been lifting since then, blah, blah, blah. And he said, oh my God, you can talk. That is amazing. And he was like totally freaked out. Now imagine, the guy that came out after me, he never got that compliment.
There is one thing. I've been in my show, so everybody that I interview.
No, I'm sorry, Tina. Thank you very much. No,
No
thank
jumps,
you.
no.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
But we have someone else coming in. Thank you very much. No.
Det ville att jag skulle fråga om. Så att intervjun börjar, Arnold Schwarzenegger är mycket mer personlig och på gott humör och svarar på alla mina frågor utan problem. Men när ungefär halva intervjun har gått så ser jag i bakgrunden hur den här presskvinnan sätter igång ilsket och river upp papper och diskuterar med någon. Och sen så börjar hon försöka avsluta intervjun, alltså hon ger mig såna här tecken och till slut såna här halshuggningstecken. Men jag har under åren utvecklat en slags tunnelseende så att jag ser verkligen bara ögonen på den jag intervjuar. Så jag låtsades inte se henne förrän jag såg att hon liksom höll på att explodera av ilska och var på väg att kliva in i bild. Då slutade jag intervjun. Och så fick jag mig en rejäl utskällning för att jag inte hade följt det här frågeformuläret. Och när jag kom hem till Sverige så blev jag bombarderad med ilskna mejl. Men när jag ser intervjun nu så måste jag säga att jag begriper inte varför de blev så arga.
I love living in America. I love...
Arnold Schwarzenegger har sitt kontor i Kalifornien. Jag kommer dit och intervjun ska börja. Arnold Schwarzenegger kommer inklivande, inte fullt så stor och imponerande som jag hade förväntat mig. Men väldigt sådär solariebrun och inga rynkor och så förstås. Så tar vi hand och sätter oss ner och intervjun ska börja. Och det gör den också. Men det är bara det att det är ett problem, och det är att när jag skickade frågor till dem så visste jag att de ville bara att intervjun skulle handla om kalifornisk politik. Medan jag helst ville ha en personlig intervju där man fick reda på så mycket om Arnold Schwarzenegger som möjligt. Plus att jag ville ta upp det här om Annika Östberg, svenskan som har suttit fängslad i Kalifornien i många, många år. Och det visste jag att de inte...
American mentality, I love the positive thinking that here you can drive up with a Bentley and people say, when did you get that Bentley? Congratulations. In Europe, they take a key and they scratch your whole side of the car because someone says, well, the reason why he has it is because he doesn't share the money with me.
I will not disappoint you and I will not let you down.
Arnold Schwarzenegger har alltid varit störst. Först var han världens främste kroppsbyggare och sen blev han världens största actionstjärna.
I'm going to run for governor of the state of
2003 valdes Schwarzenegger till republikansk guvernör i Kalifornien, som faktiskt är världens sjätte största ekonomi. När jag kommer till hans kontor i huvudstaden Sacramento så får jag trängas med Ibland är det faktiskt så att man minns omständigheterna kring en intervju mer än vad man minns själva intervjun. Och så är det i fallet Arnold Schwarzenegger. Honom hade jag försökt att få en intervju med i flera år. Så kom det ett mejl där det stod att jag kanske skulle få en intervju med honom. Och de ville ha de frågor som jag skulle ställa. Så jag skickade dem och sen så gick jag och väntade. Inget besked kom. Till slut kom det ett mejl där det stod att allt var uppskjutet. Det betydde inte att jag hade fått någon intervju, men att jag kanske skulle få den ytterligare ett par veckor längre fram. Så att jag gick där och våndades och förberedde mig och visste inte om det skulle bli av eller ej. Men bara ungefär 2 dagar innan intervjun skulle bli av så kom det ett mejl där det stod att jag var välkommen. Så jag åkte till Sacramento där